Howdy YouTube, this is Tony, aka Nars, aka Infinity Curve again, and we got ourselves another game of David's. I looked at all his games against Mick Forever, except one, which I thought was not super instructive, but I'll do a video on that if he wants me to. But let's take a look at this. This is the final game against me. Played e4, plays the Pirc Modern. This time I go for knight f3 instead of an f4 setup. h3 just keeps pieces out of g4 because I want to put my bishop here. c6, bishop e3, castles, queen d2. Probably going to castle queenside, although I'm keeping my options open. And David strikes with b5 right away. I protect, anticipating him pushing this, I protect e4 pawn. So David asked me to show some Grandmaster examples of his openings, so I'm going to pause the video for a moment and do that. So here we have Peter Leko as white versus Vasily Ivanchuk as black. So we're rooting for Vasily since we're trying to help David win here. White Leko played my move, bishop d3. He must have seen my game with his time machine. And David's move, which you haven't seen yet, is a premature b4. But let's see what Vasily played. Just developed knight f6. It's not really afraid of e5. It's not leading anywhere for white. White just develops. Black is the same position as my game, because in my game h3 was already played. Anyway, regardless, this game is pretty similar to the one I played with David, and Ivanchuk played his knight out, just kind of waiting calmly to see where to break in the center, because he's not sure where that's going to happen yet. And after white castles, now he strikes with e5. This pawn is defended enough. I assume if white pushes past with d5, black can take, and, well, it's a little tricky, right, because this pawn is weak. But he can at least take once, then play a6, maybe knight into c5. I bet that's what Stockfish is going to recommend when it wakes up, yeah. C takes d. Let's say knight takes. He's trading up pieces because we're cramped. Or bishop b7 right away. Not worrying about this pawn, because if white takes that, we're taking here, and then taking again, and we have two strong central pawns. So, excuse me. Anyway, d takes e. White tries to maneuver. Black protects his b pawn, aiming for c5. a4, trying to undermine. Black just ignores it, develops his last piece. White comes towards the center. White tries to trade off black's dark square bishop. I guess trying to attack on the queen side. But black's probably fine trading off this bishop since it's not looking much right now anyway. Black just keeps developing. And then b4 is kind of a strange move. I mean, I can't really presume to analyze the games of two 2700s, but I'll just go through the moves briefly. And then, let's see, knight a4. And then, yeah, knight a4. Black wants to take this pawn, but if he did that right away, his knight would be hanging here. Now, I'm not sure why white just doesn't defend this pawn, but he doesn't. He just attacks the rook. Maybe he thinks he's going to somehow trap the rook on this square, but black greedily gobbles it up. And then white's like, oh shoot, I just lost a pawn, I better try to checkmate black. But that doesn't happen. This is a cute move. Knight d5. Just getting this annoying queen out of black's territory. Yeah, so basically because of tactics, the black knight gets from this square to and then black's knight gets from this square to this square. Obviously this is a much better square, and it opens the queen's eyes to protect, to protect all these dark squares. So that's what happens, and black is doing great here. White tries to preserve his bad bishop for some reason, and black makes what Yakov would like to call a mini bishop, which is to say pawns on the opposite color of your missing bishop. And the king actually is pretty safe here. I mean, this knight, this bishop, this rook aren't particularly impressive, and this knight and queen alone are not going to checkmate the king. So now white throws out c4, black counterattacks the knight, and black gets this nice pawn roller. Kind of reminds me of a note boom variation, gone extremely well, where you just have these two passed pawns. After knight e2, he also gets his rook trapped. So, although the game could go like this, and white actually won't win the exchange, but trades are good for black. He's got these two outside connected passed pawns, and Peter Lecko resigns. So now let's go back to David's game. So here we are back to David's game. David played b4, which in and of itself isn't the end of the world, but it creates a weakness, basically this pawn. You want to I don't actually know that much about the modern, but it seems like you want to get a queenside advantage, and the way Ivanchuk just managed to win a pawn, and then he got the nice past A and B pawns. But you can't get past A and B pawns if you lose a pawn. And here, let's see, what's the best move? A5 maybe? C5? Probably A5. Oh no, it's saying don't worry about the pawn. And something bad happens to me if I take it. C5. I wouldn't play D takes C. Yeah. A3. Okay, so black's making a gambit of it. He's got a nice diagonal for his bishop. It's like kind of like Bingo Gambit style. I guess he's gonna put rooks here and prove that this queen is kind of clumsy over here. So, okay, but after D5, this is the wrong break. So, why is it the wrong break? Well, because you're getting your after D5, E5, this knight's getting attacked, so I'm getting a tempo. And this bishop's locked in. And black just doesn't have pieces developed. So there's a lot of problems. I mean, really, it seems like generally you want to get your pieces developed before you open the center, or allow white to get a lot of space at least. And after he brings his knight into E4, now I grab the pawn. And now there's no C5. And still, I suppose there's some possibility my queen could get trapped, but it doesn't look very likely. And I have a whole mass of pieces out, and black doesn't. And both of black's bishops, you could say, are kind of bad. This bishop has no safe squares, except here. Here isn't all that safe. I could play knight h4 or g4. I haven't committed to castling kingside yet. And then this bishop is looking at a wall of pawns. So better than d4. Yeah, just knight b d7. Maybe e5. Is e5 fine? e5 is not fine because it's losing a pawn. So yeah, just develop your pieces. And if white wants to take, at least you're getting time on the queen. So, but instead David does play d5. Now these pawn breaks are really tricky, but unless you're willing to study this pretty thoroughly, I wouldn't recommend to play the Pirc or modern. I would stick with double king pawn, although I mean all chess openings are tricky, but you really have to know these ideas, otherwise you're just going to get smashed. So David, I guess, sees that this is a bad bishop, so he wants to trade it off. I just ignore it in castle. I mean, if he takes and I take back with the pawn, it's getting another tempo on the knight, which actually, if that were to happen, looks like the knight's trapped. Oh no, the knight would have this square. But Instead, David plays queen b6. Here, the engine says I should just grab this pawn and then run off with the booty, but I backed up to a3 instead. Note that if I take on e7 and he goes pawn hunting himself, he loses the queen, just because I've got nice development and a nice grip on, well, queen wouldn't be able to go to these two squares anyway, but my queen backwards covers a3. Always good to be mindful of those backwards moves. Anyway, queen a3, in place, h6, and just looking at the structure, just maybe want to play e6 without too much hesitation or calculation. It's just very tempting to play a move like this to undermine black's kingside. Not that I would recommend to not calculate, but in a rapid game you have to make decisions like this kind of quickly sometimes. And here David makes a mistake of not doing anything about this pawn here, and just moves his rook, which I'm not quite sure about the idea here. Does he want to play e5? That doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. Anyway, I take, he takes, I bring my knight in. Now I have a nice pawn helping attack the king as well. And we could stop here, but we'll go a little further. Another pawn bites the dust. Should have taken with the queen, just to get my queen over to the king side instead of, but getting a tempo on the knight is good too. And actually getting a tempo on the knight is great because c5 blocks the knight's last escape square. So best black can do is counterattack my piece. Although after I retreat, looks like I'm still winning the knight. Queen a6. Okay, if white's reduced, black's reduced to trading queens, it's not a good sign. But I just grab another piece. And okay, I guess he figures he's going to trap my bishop. But now I completely nakedify his king. Queen g3's computer strong preference. I guess it figures I'm going to mate with just the queen and knight. On the knight, these pawns are very nice. King goes to the side. Knight here. The queen covers this mating square, so black can afford to develop a little bit. But yeah, I get a huge center, and yeah, but I figure my move's also totally winning. Now I bring my queen over. Yeah, more tactics. Pick up the loose rook. White tries to trade queens. Normally when you're tons of material up, you want to trade queens, but checkmate is always better. I bring the rook into the action, and here I screw around a little bit. I had better moves. I just wanted to be able to win without grabbing material here or here. And then I did have to bring in my other rook, and so there's checkmate. So the main thing is you have to know these pawn breaks if you're going to play the Pirc. And I could do a video on each individual game, but ultimately you should just take some time with a database or a book and really try to understand the different breaks in the Pirc. When it's a good idea to push your pawns far, attacking a piece, when it's a good idea to break with e5, d5, and c5. I'll continue to make these movies, and they're fun and instructive for me too, but ultimately this is a very tricky opening, and you need to have a better idea of it to play it at a high level. But in the meantime, I hope this video was instructive for you. Thanks for watching.